In this video, we are going to jump into Packet Tracer 3.5.5, configuring DTP, or Dynamic Trunking Protocol, which is a Cisco proprietary trunking protocol to establish trunking links between various Cisco devices. We are going to be covering setting this to a desirable mode where it'll negotiate the trunk link between S1 and S2, and then turn off that DTP so that there's no DTP packets trying to negotiate the trunk link between S1 and S3. And just we're going to establish it. And this would be, for example, if S1 was a Cisco device and S3 was a non-Cisco device. So we don't want Cisco proprietary protocols trying to be established in something that wouldn't recognize it. So let's just jump right into it. In this, we are going to be covering creating some additional VLANs. Part 2 is really the place that we want to talk about on this, because you can run part 1 and to verify all this stuff, but where the grading starts is really with part 2. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to be creating some VLANs on the various switches. So enable, config T, and with that we are going to be creating 3 different VLANs. VLAN 10, which is name is red. VLAN 20, name yellow. I'm sorry, VLAN name it's blue, and then VLAN 30 name yellow. All right, let's just I'm gonna do a quick see what we have just to make sure that that name got overwritten, and as we see, the name did get overwritten, so we are good to go. We'll do the same thing on switch 3. All right, VLAN 10, name is red. VLAN 20, name is blue. And remember, it is case sensitive for grading purposes, so you'll want to make sure to do that. Now, the one little tricky thing that I'd always miss in this one, and you know, sometimes it would have to go back and take a look at the results, is setting the VLAN in switch 1 as well. So let's just do a show VLAN brief. And as you can see, we don't have those VLAN 10s, VLAN 10, 20, or 30 set up here, so we need to do that as well here, especially for grading purposes. So VLAN 10, name is red. VLAN 20, name blue. And VLAN 30, name yellow. All right, we're 24% done. Now let's move on to part 3, where we're going to be assigning the various ports and then going to be configuring the trunks on the various switches here. So in this one, of course, we're going to be taking all the various interfaces of the switches on 2 and 3 and creating the ports so that their particular assignments are assigned. Their particular VLANs are set based upon the port communication. So let's just jump right into S2. We have the instructions right in front of us, what we have to do. Interface range is always good to be able to get a number of ports out of the way. So we can do, we're changing switch port mode access, saying these are not going to be trunk links. Instead, they're going to be dedicated to VLAN 10. Same thing with F09 through 16. Same thing, switch port mode access, saying, hey, these are not going to be trunk links. These instead are going to be dedicated to VLAN 20 communications. Same thing with, spell range correctly. All right, and these are going to be dedicated to VLAN 30. All right, now we have to go and do this on S3 as well. So I'm going to exit out so I make sure I know where I am. I'm in the configuration mode. So int range, and we're just going to be doing the same exact thing as we did before. Turning off the trunk linking on these various ports and making sure that they are just dedicated to the VLAN communication. And after that, we will go configure the trunking of the various, between the various switches. Switch port mode access, port access, VLAN 20. All right, int range F0/17 through 24. Switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN 30. All right. Now, we should just want to go over and make sure we have, okay, switches 2 and 3. We have various VLANs configured. And all right, so let's go to configuring trunks in part 4. So with that, again, as I talked about earlier, this is going to be a negotiated or dynamic desirable, where dynamic trunking protocol packets are exchanged between these two to negotiate. Between these, there will be no negotiation. So you can think of this as a Cisco device, non-Cisco device. And this one as Cisco and Cisco. So, all right. We need to exit out of here. So, int G01. Now, we're going to make that port dynamic desirable. All right. Change the state there. And we can go and take a look here at S2. Just well, let's fast forward here to get that negotiation done. All right. So interestingly, let's go take a look. And as you can see here, it's auto trunking status. So that was able to go ahead and when we set that to desirable, that was an auto negotiated status. Now we have to go in and configure the other interface. So interface G02. This is going to say this is going to be a trunking link. But we need to, we're not negotiating, so we're not going to use the Cisco proprietary technology. All right, let's just show DTP as it's asking us to. And we have these right here. Now, we should have a match on this piece right here. So we have this set to desirable and this just set to on, meaning that it's trunking link, but there's no negotiation between anything. Now we have to go in and set the native VLANs. We will also have to, and before we forget, let's just do part 5 here, because it's going to be the same type of, I like to just jump ahead and get everything done as it is. So we're going to have to set the trunk link to match what S1 was, so we don't have those inconsistent port types that it's warning us about. So we're going to say switchport mode trunk. We're doing the exact same instructions as we did on the corresponding port. All right, now that one is done. So let's go back and we're going to jump back and do this part with the VLAN 999 on each of the S3s, and that should be pretty much all that we need to do. We've already done this part 5 because it's just the same instructions as what it was up here. So let's just go ahead and get our VLAN set VLAN 999 as the native VLAN. All right, so get back into configuration mode, int range 01 to 2, so we get both ports, switch port trunk native VLAN 999. All right, we're going to get some inconsistencies here because the other two switches are not set to that native, so that's where we have to go and get that switched on that. So again, config T. In this, we're just going to have to be doing it on G01, since that's the only one that we're connected to the switch 1. So switch port trunk native VLAN 999. All right. Now, the only last thing we need to do is same thing on switch 3. And that one, of course, is going to be, I know that there's an inconsistent mismatch. So let's see, int range G02 and switch port trunk native VLAN 999. All right, port consistency is restored. As you can see, we have hit 100%. So that is done for this lab. Thank you, and look forward to you in the next video. Thanks.